Star Wars Limited enthusiasts, welcome to our first video where we are talking about the reveals for the cards coming out of the Ashes of the Empire set itself. We already did a video talking about the cards we kind of already got spoiled to us coming, of course, from the starter decks, as well as a few cards that got spoiled very early alongside getting this starter deck spoiler. So we have like the new 2 spotlight leaders and Luke Skywalker and Palpatine. We had a few extra cards revealed to us that aren't really going to be like coming out of the starter deck itself. Like some of these might, some of them won't. Just kind of matters overall. But nonetheless, it is time to officially start looking at cards revealed to us from this set. We got legendaries, we got leaders, so let's get it all started here with the Mandalorian flagship. I suppose this comes from the season 3 of The Mandalorian. Never watched this season, so I'm not sure if that's correct. I would guess that is correct. This looks like Gideon's old flagship after probably Bo-Katan took control of it. So while you control a leader unit, this unit gains ambush, which is pretty nice. A 7 cost 4/8 ambush, probably not great, but this unit gets +1 for each friendly Mandalorian unit, which is pretty nice. So meaning that if you want to do a Mando tribal strategy, post rotation, this is pretty cool here. Kind of sucks that the good Mandalorian leader we've only had so far is Bo-Katan, and I believe she's a Shadows of the Galaxy leader. And we don't have that leader in Premiere anymore, so sucks. But cool. Nonetheless, we got an interesting ship here. The ambush is going to be very, very tricky to get off because of the fact that you have to have your leader out. So this would have to be like flip your leader, then play this for the turn, and then get it the +1 for each other additional Mandalorian unit to make it a little stronger, but not sure how often that's going to come up. But still, it's a pretty cool card. We got a Mortar Trooper with action, deal 1 damage to up to 3 ground units. Just some nice ping damage there for a 1/4. Just being able to ping 1 damage against 3 different units isn't all bad until he gets crushed by a boulder. We have Blade 3. With when your base is dealt damage, give an advantage token to this unit. That's a pretty nice thing, being able to turn itself into a 3/4 with advantage, and it only loses advantage if it defends or attacks. That's pretty nice overall. Just a nice little card there. Definitely would be pretty fun in a 4-pod of Twin Sun, because if everyone attacks your base, then you could just pump it up with 3 advantage tokens, which is pretty nice. We got Jod Nawood. Has Sentinel for 4/3. When played, you may pay for it. If you do, choose an arena, exhaust each unit in that arena. So yeah, it's got a nice exhaust effect that in that case, if you were to use that, then it turns into a 7 cost unit with Sentinel on the ground. I guess you can bait out this pay cost of 4 with credit tokens. So if you have a way to produce enough credit tokens where you can pay for the 4 and then drop them for the 3, pay 4 credit tokens, and then being able to rest, say your opponent's space arena or ground arena, isn't really all that bad. But I mean, if you're not running enough credits to play that, 7 costs just to rest some stuff may not be feasible at that point. I think maybe in the early game he was definitely still just a nice 4/3 Sentinel that can just keep you alive on the ground for a little while. But other than that, I don't think he's the best rare. I don't know why it needs to be a rare, but oh well. I mean, he's neat. That's all I'll say about that. Maybe he will come up. Like I said, there is a really good way to get out that 4 cost, because again, you can pay credit tokens to reduce the cost of any of your payment down to basically 0. So in this case, you could pay 4 credits, make that cost 0, or you could pay 3 credits, make him 0, and then pay 4, just normal 4 energy, and then play him out, and then play him for free because you spent 3 credits to reduce his play cost to 0, and then you paid 4 energy to then use his exhaust effect. So you could do that as well. It kind of comes ebb and flow, exactly how you're wanting to really think about it. Now, talking about legendaries, so a couple people at my locals told me that Fantasy Flight has come out and said that they're making the legendaries much more powerful in this set. Really, in essence, power creeping the legendaries to be a lot more stronger than the last couple of legendaries we've seen. I mean, if you really think about it, when we get a lot of legendaries from Star Wars Unlimited, there's only those few, because they're meta relevant, that go for high dollars. Think right now, the Liberty right now is a good card to really think about, because that is in every Lando deck that is played, just because it's a really strong card, an 8 drop that can be dropped in the turn Lando flips, can be then dropped out, rest one of your opponent's units, and bounce upgrades back to their hand. So it's a really big card and powerful card, especially in that strategy. The Stranger is also one of those that's really good. I mean, the ability just to have your opponent punch you in the face first and then you punch back and kill their unit also is really nice. And your opponent then has to retaliate it because of having that grit, meaning that being a 1/7, getting hit for 5, and then killing, say, whatever unit your opponent had, and then having a 6/7 on the board there. Next turn to either run into something or run into your opponent's base is pretty nasty overall. So, I mean, that's a pretty good outcome there. So, I mean, we definitely have seen that. And then you definitely feel like legendaries have just dropped. Like Nimic's Manifesto, everyone was trying to hype that as like a $5 card. That was like $1 card at the most. So, I mean, we've seen legendaries which you think are going to be relevant, but they never are. And then those legendaries just kind of fall off hard. I mean, sure, the pre-sales are there, but in my opinion, you never buy pre-sale and you don't buy the week right after release. You usually wait for a little bit for the market to try to cool itself, try to see where everything is stabilizing, and then you go pick everything up. But if they really are true that the legendaries are going to be much more powerful in this set, then that might not taper them too much off of the market. They may keep a couple extra dollars, but again, I think the best legendaries will always hold stronger value because they're going to be meta relevant. They're always going to be in the meta deck, so you got to pick those up for all of that. So that's just the thing about it, is that you have to know what legendaries you're kind of looking for because of the fact of the matter of what you need. So overall, that's kind of my stick about legendaries. If they really are good, we'll have to kind of see. Even if they are overpowered, legendaries still are the price of legendaries are still very much on whatever meta deck can run them. Now again, those prices can fluctuate if those legendary cards become valuable for deck strategies someone takes. And let me tell you, with Galactic Championship being a week after this release, these legendaries are going to keep some strong value because no one knows what's going to be good, because when you flip right over into a Galactic Championship, right after a new set has dropped, you enter a whole new metagame. So that means no one's really knowing. So everyone's testing. Is definitely going to be testing before, Galactic Championship to figure out what's good, especially once we get all the cards officially released for Ashes of the Empire. We're just going to have to kind of see where people think the metagame is going to go. And again, it'll be really cool. It's definitely going to be hurt on the prices. I hate for everyone who has to go to the event and is going to get price gouged out of their eyeballs for some cards that definitely probably don't deserve to be that high of a price, but I guess that's what happens. So if you're going, maybe order a couple cases and pray and hope they get in before, order a couple cases from your local LGS or whoever you're going to buy cases from, and hope you can pull everything you need. So anyways, we're talking about the Mandalorian, a shielded unit that only costs 4, and it's a 5/4, and if damage would be dealt to another friendly unit, may defeat a shield token off this unit if you do prevent that damage. Very, very strong effect. Like I said, the legendaries are going to feel a lot stronger in this set, and that may help them play a little more in different deck strategies. But again, we'll have to see, because again, their prices will only hold if they actually are viable. But maybe this set will finally hold the legendaries for, prices. Not that I really want that to happen, because I do prefer, in my own opinion, that some of the legendaries do fall. But nonetheless, this is a pretty strong legendary. We have other ways to give shield tokens in this game. Like, we have Cover the Wing to put another shield token on the Mandalorian. So we have ways to put shield tokens back onto units. And then, yeah, so I mean, why not play this? I mean, this is just super, super strong. If you can constantly get a way to constantly give a shield token to this Mandalorian, there's very strong things. And even then, Eternal, be on the lookout to see this in the Luke Skywalker from Spark of Rebellion in Eternal. Because once Luke flips on his backside, on attack, you can give another friendly heroic unit a shield token. So if you have on turn 5 and you can play the Mandalorian and then tap Luke to pay 1 to give a shield token to a heroic unit played that phase, you technically could go into the Mandalorian. You could give the Mandalorian's confidence shield, then you give a second shield, meaning that you can then block 2 damage. Prevent 2 damage on 2 units, which is pretty nice. And by the way, your opponent still takes that damage. So this is very strong to set up with some very powerful sentinels. and then constantly just give the Mandalorian a shield token, and then your opponent has to go through the Sentinel, but there's no way to deal with the Mandalorian. Now, there is an easy way to deal with it. Your opponent just needs to punch the Mandalorian for an attack and pop the shield. That may sacrifice a unit, but again, that would then stop their effects unless you had a way to give a shield token to it. So again, I think this has very good viability in this metagame if you can give it enough shield tokens to continually spin it, as well as this has some very good temptations in the Eternal format 100%. We got Ninth Sister with Overwhelm, a 7-cost 8/7 with Overwhelm. When played, an opponent discards a card from their hand. You may deal damage equal to its cost divided as you choose among any number of units. So it's a force throw plus the green 5 drop that then the green 5 villainy card that's just now escaping my mind. But nonetheless, that's exactly what it is. So your opponent discards a card. So they do get to choose. It's not random or anything like that. You don't get to choose it. It's your opponent gets to choose the card. They discard it. And then you can basically, based on that cost, you can then hit units and chip damage them, which is pretty strong in my opinion. I mean, this is also an 8/7 with freaking Overwhelm. So I mean, this is a hand rip plus a destruction card potentially, because you can divide it however you want it to. So you could put it all on one unit. You could all put it on just 3 units. So it kind of matters how you want to do it. OB. That's the abbreviation for the card. But you have OB plus force throw. So it's a pretty strong legendary indeed. I mean, you can't go wrong with hand rip at all in a card game. Anyways, we've already discussed Grogu back when we first learned about him coming out as a promo card. If you guys are going to go to the AMC theater and going to go see, of course, the Mando and Grogu movie. But here, of course, is his normal art right here. So this is what he looks like. That normal art is creepy. That's some uncanny valley art up there. But nonetheless, we've already read him, so we won't cover him. But he's a neat leader. He is one of our newest leaders that do not have an epic action. It's anytime you play a 4 or greater guy onto the battlefield. 4 or higher greater, I think, unique unit onto the battlefield, you just get to constantly flip him. So yeah, you have to play a unique unit to flip him, but he constantly could just be flipped. Other than that, he's not very good because, again, he only gives a +1 and a +1. And that's really it. And he can die to absolutely everything in this game. So, yeah, but still, I mean, it's nice to have another leader. And maybe someone will figure a fun little strategy out with Mr. Grogu. Moving on, we have the Whistling Birds. We did get a look at what potentially is a prestige art in the game. It's pretty interesting to see that we're doing a prestige art of an upgrade card. Typically, the prestiges have been named vehicles and named people, named unit cards and all of that, but never been an upgrade. So this is pretty cool. I do like that art there. That is nice art. But anyways, this is another legendary. So attached to a non-vehicle unit, attached unit gains when attack ends. If this unit dealt combat damage to an opponent's base, deal 2 damage to each unit the opponent controls in this unit's arena. This is just another very strong ping card. I mean, it feels like red ping is now becoming very much a viability. I mean, you have Whistling Birds, which is just mono red, by the way. You have the Ninth Sister, and then you have the Mortar Trooper. So these are very good cards right now. I mean, these 2 legendaries are very strong. I mean, a +2/+2, and if you attack the base, your opponent's ground units are taking 2 damage after the attack ends. There can be some very annoying stuff that you can do with the Whistling Birds, especially with it just being mono red and not being in heroic and not being in villainy. So this has a lot of applications for any red strategy coming out. So be on the lookout for this card to make some heavy splash in the upcoming meta 100%. We have the Mandos in 1 Starfighter before he decides to abandon that and go back to the Razor Crest. So anyways, we have the new support keyword. As a reminder, support states that when you deploy this unit, you may attack with another unit, and that unit gains the support cards on attack trigger. So on attack, you may exhaust a friendly non-upgrade leader. If you do, this unit gets +2 for the attack. So basically, you can just exhaust a leader and then give a unit +2 for the attack. So basically, you have to exhaust your own leader to then swing with something with extra +2. Not really sold on that one. I mean, I guess it's good for Grogu because Grogu technically can't attack. So being able to go the N1 Starfighter, resting Grogu, for whoever you support the N1 Starfighter onto, isn't actually that bad of a combination. But that's really the only combo I'm seeing. I'm not sure why you would want to rest most of your leaders because your leader typically a lot of times is just a free swing that you don't really want to be wasting. But still, it's a pretty neat card nonetheless. I mean, the support trigger is definitely going to be a very interesting thing right now because of the fact that the way support works is definitely feeling like continuing to keep that aggro format very much in the feeling right now, especially if aggressive negotiation stays legal in the support, where then you could have support attacking your opponent's base and dealing a bunch of damage on that on attack triggers, and then using aggressive negotiation to potentially do more damage or potentially to force win games. So we'll have to kind of see, but nonetheless, support I think will be neat. We're just gonna have to kind of see what it turns into. My greatest fear is that we are in an aggro format and they're gonna move us into another aggro format. So when we really need to be moving into like a pseudo format of like mid-range and control and aggro all really playing instead of just being like, it feels like an aggro format heavily. Definitely also a red base or leader format as well. We have the new 𝐒𝐲 leader with action. Choose a unit with less power than a friendly unit. Gets +2 for this phase. Pretty nice way if you have like a 1 powered character on the battlefield, you can give it +2 so it can swing a little more, or if it gets attacked, you can at least deal a little more damage back. But more interesting, she's using this support keyword but in a really different way. So she gets the support, and when you deploy this leader, you may attack with another friendly unit and gains its attack ability. On attack, you may give a unit with less power than this unit +2 for this phase. So basically, you can attack with a big guy and then give a little guy +2, which is pretty cool overall right now. So pretty cool support trigger, 100%. All of that. That's really, really neat. Really cool to see actually a leader utilizing the new keyword in a really cool way, nonetheless. So really cool to see them doing a leader utilizing the new keyword, though it has to be completely worded a little different, because normally support is when you play that unit, you get to on attack and the unit does come in rested, where leaders flip and then come in deployed, readied, and then you get their triggers. So nonetheless, it's a pretty neat card. I mean, a 5/6 for 6 is not really all that bad. And again, I believe she's just a normal, yeah, if you're 6 or more resources, you just a flipper. So pretty cool leader, 100%. A nice, like, interesting leader to play a lot of like little cost, weak cost weenies, like weak cost cards, and then being able to buff them so they can swing for more damage is pretty neat. We have Hu Yang on attack. You may give an upgraded unit -4 for this phase. Pretty cool kind of thing. So if your opponent's using if your opponent's got those effects of, say, stacking on the new advantage token or stacking on experience tokens, being able to give it -4 is pretty nice. Being able to then allow you to counteract or kill that unit off is pretty neat. So pretty cool card here. Not sure how much it's going to see play, but still, I mean, upgrades are still very much a viability with experience shields and all of that. To being able to give something -4 attack, it's pretty nice. So then, especially if it has a shield token, you go -4 attack on an upgraded unit. And then if you have Saboteur, go swing into it and potentially kill it off and taking no damage back, which is pretty nice overall. We got 𝐒𝐓𝐃, a 4/2/6 with Grit. I believe this is the end of the Boba Fett saga where Cad Bane comes into town because 𝐒𝐲 no longer has Boba's armor. When you play another unit, you may deal 2 damage to this unit. If you do, give a show token to that unit. Oh, hey, look, synergy. So you can basically do 2 damage to 𝐒𝐓𝐃, turning him into a 4/4 at that point, because remember, he does lose 2 health points, but he does gain the grit of 2 more damage. And then basically, you can give this. So it's whenever you play another unit, so it'd have to be on himself, but you could do like 𝐒𝐲𝐃, then you could do the Mandalorian coming down, and then you could deal 2 damage to 𝐒𝐲, giving the Mandalorian another shield token, giving him automatically 2 there, which is very nice. And then that would then pump up 𝐒𝐲 to being a 4/4 on your turn that can swing. So pretty cool overall little gimmick there with him altogether. Just I like that. I like that. That's a pretty neat card indeed. Being able to play stuff and then giving himself damage so you can give that unit a shield token and then helping him buff up that grit. At the max he can get to is 6/2 would be his max before he's dead. So I mean that is a 6/2 on a 4-cost body that can constantly just do anything it needs. So funny enough, if you have 5, you can go 𝐂𝐓𝐃 and then play a 1-drop, use 𝐂𝐓𝐃 to deal 2 damage to itself, and then pump the guy with a shield token that you just played. And then next turn, restand, play another guy, do 2 damage to 𝐂𝐓𝐃, and then give a shield token. Especially if you play the Mandalorian, meaning that if someone tries to go and kill 𝐂𝐓𝐃 while he has 4 damage points already on him, then you could use the Mandalorian to burn that shield that you got from the 𝐂𝐓𝐃, allowing you to, of course, then have your opponent just swings, dies, and then your 𝐂𝐓𝐃 gets to stand and swing for 6 damage. Or even have the ability to support a guy and then support 𝐂𝐓𝐃 and swing with an on-attack trigger. So, alright. Pretty neat card. We got a T6 Shuttle 1974. With Sentinel and then action, you may give another unit +2/+2 for this phase. You may attack with that unit. So basically, a really nice card. Just kind of play it, and then you get to attack with the unit. It really does kind of feel like a combo with the Ahsoka Tano as well, because then Ahsoka give it extra +2 as well, since it's only a 2 attack points here, meaning that then you could buff it up to being a 4/6 Sentinel, and then with being the tap and then being able to attack with another unit. So you kind of give like a support trigger without really giving a support trigger, but still, that's a pretty nice way. Green just being able to get a little bit more aggro is pretty nice. So just be cautious where like green-red heroic to maybe be able to play a little more aggressive now, especially thanks to this. So pretty cool. We got another legendary in the Chimera, the damaged and dying Chimera, but the Chimera nonetheless. When played, you may choose a friendly unit. When played, you may choose a friendly unit and an enemy non-leader unit. If you do, defeat those units. So basically, you can blow up 2 things. Basically, you can blow up one of your own and blow up one of your opponents. Kind of a nice thing for the, so far, kind of a nice thing for, like, when defeated Thrawn, you know, from JTL, to being able to trigger a when defeated effect on one of your guys, especially in yellow, being able to play this and then kill, the last run, the guy that on death deals 6 damage divided however you wish to go. And then you could trigger this to then kill it and then do Thrawn to double tap it, so allowing you to do 12 damage divided however you want to, which is pretty nice. And then when an enemy unit is defeated, heal 2 damage from your base. So yeah, that definitely combos together where you can definitely go Chimera, tapping the Legacy run. It's not the last run, it's the Legacy run. The Legacy run, killing it and killing your opponent, and then doing your 6 undivided damage, killing potentially something else, and then tapping, of course, Thrawn to deal another 6 damage divided however you choose, allowing you to wipe out potentially an entire board state, which definitely will help Thrawn from JTL, because he lost a lot of how he can manipulate when defeated triggers. Before he had different ways to manipulate and kill his own stuff to do it. So I'm glad to see he got a little bit of a buff from this here, because it definitely felt like he struggled. I played him for my Store Showdown at Valkyrie Vault and won it with him as well. I did Thrawn JTL Force Yellow, but it really does kind of suck that he just does not feel like the old Thrawn before rotation. He just doesn't feel fully good. So I'm glad to see we have this coming out. I think it'll definitely help buff up that Thrawn 100%, especially in yellow, allowing you to kill the Legacy run off and potentially kill off your opponent's entire board state and healing 2 damage from every unit that got murdered that way. That is really, really nice. Effect there, because the only other way to really trigger the Legacy run's effect would have been to use the Chimera from JTL that then copies a when defeated ability. This feels a little better, because then you can swing Legacy run, murder Legacy run, and then you can murder your entire opponent's board state and then heal a bunch of damage for it, and have a 6/6 in the sky, which is not bad overall. And by the way, it is a capital class vessel, so Piet can reduce the cost of here, folks, and can reduce the cost of it. So just be mindful, if you do use it in Piet, you got to find something to murder on your side of the board. So be mindful on that. Not that you have to be completely mindful, since Piet technically plays a bunch of droids. You can just play the droids, murder the droids on the ground, and then there you go. The Chimera does its stuff. So just a couple of decks to really think, a couple of leaders right now in this format to really think about playing for the Chimera. We have Bo-Katan's Gauntlet, a 5/4/5 with Restore 1, and each friendly non-token unit gains when defeated, create a Mandalorian token. So we're going to see kind of a Mandalorian tribal strategy appearing out of this format, which is pretty cool. I like when we get tribal style decks. We'll have to see if we're going to get a tribal style leader for Mandalorians, because like I said, the only leader we have that really feels good for Mandalorians is Bo-Katan, and that's really about it, and she's rotated out. We got the home one. It's not legendary though. I think this is our first non-legendary home one, if I'm correct. Anyways, a 8 cost 7/10 Sentinel. When played, heal all damage from each friendly unit. That's pretty nice. Is it good? I mean, if you play a pretty heavy Sentinel strategy, sure. But I'm not completely sold on it being good. I mean, yeah, it's a nice 7/10 Sentinel in space, but again, man, the Rebels got a good like capital class vessel in the Liberty, and then they kind of get home one, and it's like it's there, it exists. Is it good? I mean, are you really gonna just drop an 8/7/10 Sentinel on the board state of that is a when played heal all damage from each friendly unit? I mean, maybe if it was like heal damage from your base or something like that, maybe I could see it being more played. But I don't know. I'm not completely sold on the home one. Maybe I'll change my mind when when we see more stuff coming out, when we see strategies people are starting to think of. Maybe there is a chance someone will play this, but I don't know. I mean, 8 costs, 7 and 10 space. I mean, maybe if your opponent's space heavy, that's nice, but by that point, most space decks have murdered you before you get to 8. So that is your problem. I mean, we still have credit tokens, but again, as we've seen from this meta, there aren't a lot of decks running credit tokens, if I'm being honest. There's only a few leaders with credit token abilities and a few cards in the game that right now generate credits that are actually being played. So, I don't know. It's neat. That's all I'm going to say. We got Bo-Katan, 𝐒𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐶. When you control another Mandalorian unit, this gains raid 2. So pretty nice if you have a way to control anything with a big slapped Mandalorian tag onto it. You basically have a 4/4 swinging for 2 cost, which is pretty nice. Anyways, we have Protectorate Fighter. When played, if you control a unique unit, create a Mandalorian token. So we're kind of seeing, like I said, Mandalorian tribal. So I hope it's good. I really like tribal decks. I like when we get tribal style decks. It definitely feels like it's going to be blue-green is how you're going to do the tribal stuff, because we have the Gauntlet in blue and Bo-Katan and this in green right now. And I think that's really it for like, oh, and this is in green as well. So, I mean, it feels like if you're going to play tribal for Mandalorian, you're definitely going to be playing it in blue-green. So hopefully we get a leader that can do stuff with it. Hopefully maybe we get a Mandalorian leader that's multicolored. As we can see right now, we'll talk about it, but we have not seen double aspect colors yet. So we haven't seen the multi-aspect colors where like blue-green and blue-red or anything like that. My hope is we see more cards like that, because I definitely liked when we got that new mechanic into the game, and I hope that just wasn't like a one-time thing of like multicolored cards is just a gimmick for law. Turning the Tide. Choose a unit, deal 1 damage to it for each friendly unit. So this is pretty nice. So I mean, if the tribal works and you can produce enough Mandalorian tokens, I don't know what a Mandalorian token is or what its stat line is. I don't think we've had it revealed yet. But if you can get enough together, this can actually just be a good just like murder a single guy off the battlefield. So pretty neat. I mean, if you can get enough guys out and you can do enough things, that's a pretty cool card to play around with. Again, I like cards where you're able to like murk off something that's potentially big by using a large enough board stake to do it. So pretty cool. We have Stronger Together to create just 2 Mandalorian tokens. Again, Mandalorian tribal. But we need to talk about our next leader, Grand Admiral Thrawn. I had guessed that we were going to get another Grand Admiral Thrawn. Now we have the most expensive Grand Admiral Thrawn as well. So Spark was a 6. And JTL's is 6. Welcome to 8 cost Thrawn, everybody. Because we definitely don't have horrible times ramping green. Anyways, we have action. Attack with a unit. It gains restore 2 for this attack if you control the same number of units as the defending player. What? Action attack with a unit. It gains restore 2 for the attack if you control the same number of units as the defending player. So now if I want to get restore 2, I have to pretty much just simply tell my opponent, hey, we should play with the exact same number of units and I can get restore 2. Now there are ways to manipulate that and all of that and everything, but that's such a weird restriction just for restore 2 that I have to have on my front side. I better do the math to make sure I don't have any smaller number of units in my opponent, and to make sure I can gain and restore 2, which is a big factor. So it makes sense, you know, automatically attack with the unit and gain restore 2 would have just been a little too good, you know? Or you could have said something like, Thrawn could have been like, attack with a unit, it gains restore 2 if it attacks a unit your opponent controls. So basically, instead of attacking the base getting restore 2, you can attack your opponent and attack one of your opponent's unit and gain restore 2. So yeah, I don't like the front side. I don't think that. I think there could have been better ways to do that than just say that I better hope when I attack with my unit, my opponent has the exact same number of guys. And you know how many often that's going to happen? Not very often. Because most of the time, if your opponent's going to go chip blocking out small dudes, you're not going to have a lot of dudes to play out. You may play out one guy per turn, and if your opponent's always going to be able to play one guy, and you know how your opponent's going to stop this? They're just going to run into everything you have, use guys that they don't want to attack the base to kill your units, and then cause you to always never be able to use the restore 2. Again, being that he's also an 8 cost, meaning that you need to ramp into him, green potentially. Now, again, on his backside, much better. He's a restore 2, he's a 5/8. He's 1 less health point than his fattest Thrawn, being the Spark Thrawn. Then on attack, if you control more units than the defending player, you may defeat a non-leader unit they control. That is a very strong flip effect. Being the fact that if your opponent has gone ahead and massed a board state onto you, at any point, you are capable of nuking your opponent's units right off the board if they're not of course, a leader unit. So that is very, very strong. Now, again, this kind of tells you why you have that Chimera. The Chimera definitely feels like it's going into this. Usually we see cards get released and then they kind of point at where the leader is. I mean, I knew we were getting another Thrawn. Does this mean that this Thrawn is going to be better than JTL Thrawn? I don't know. I still feel like if you want to play this ship, it's better in JTL Thrawn than maybe in this Thrawn. But, I mean, this Thrawn's neat. Don't get me wrong. I like what he does on his backside. I think that is super cool. That is a great new way to control your opponent's board state and all of this. I mean, this is just, like, really, really cool for what it can do. I mean, the ability to allow the swing and then murder your opponent's stuff because they happen to have more things than you do. I mean, it's really, really cool. Is it good? I think he's good. He's just front side just doesn't feel good. I mean, yeah, it's nice for you to be able to tap and then attack with a unit so you can swing at your opponent's base, but not being able to get that restore 2 just because you happen to at one point in time have 2 units, your opponent has 4 units, and me having to always constantly make sure if you want to get that restore 2, you have to play this weird bingo game of, well, if my opponent plays a unit, I need to play a unit. Oh, wait, my opponent has cheaper guys that constantly can play out more guys on me. So how exactly do I keep up with that? Do I need to swing to kill stuff just so I can constantly make sure I get that restore 2? Yeah, I'm not sold on this being completely good. But still, he's a nice rare leader. Don't get me wrong. And I know a guy at my local who's going to want the showcase from this Thrawn. But nonetheless, pretty cool card. Definitely will be trying him out because I do like what the backside does. The front side probably could have been, you know, changed a little bit in its wording, and I think he could have been still very much the same. Like I said, he could have easily been just tap him, swing at a guy, and then gain restore 2. But if you swing at a base, you don't get restore 2. So you could have done that instead of playing the game of making sure we match unit to unit on my opponent's board state. Is a little weird to me. That's not to me something good. It just turns it really into like a trade deck where you have to kind of trade units into your opponent to kind of be able to always keep the board state at a very similar aspect so you constantly get his effect. Not so on the front side, like the back side though, 100%. We have the Scion Shuttle with support, and then while this unit is attacking the defender player gets -1/-1, and it's pretty nice. I mean, the ability to swing into something gives it -1/-1 is okay. Gar Saxon. When you play an upgrade on this unit, you may create a Mandalorian token, use this ability once per round. So basically, unless we get a Mandalorian leader that basically ignores aspects on Mandalorian units, which would be nice to see if we could see more of those type of leaders, which I think is pretty cool for deck building. This is definitely just going to have to be in blue villainy. The weird part is this would have been pretty nice for I forget the leader that's heavy on upgrades and stuff like that. He's blanking my mind right now, but I know we have a leader that likes that. But yeah, I mean, you can put an upgrade on him, and then basically you can always create a Mandalorian token. So, pretty cool card. Again, I really think we need to see a Mandalorian style leader that allows you to more aspects on Mandalorian cards, which I like 100% when we get those type of leaders. I think it was really fun for deck building. Pointless to resist. Attached unit gains -3 while attacking a base. Hey, look at this. Did you know you can combo that on side of Condemned? Then you can give your opponent -9 on the attack. So your opponent can't do anything if they somehow like bypass the -6 from the the Condemned trigger and all of that. Still, it's a pretty cool card. I mean, it's a nice card to just like force your opponent to have to attack units instead of attacking your base. So still, it's a pretty cool card, nonetheless. Dr. Pershing, he went from being evil to just being mono. He's got support, and then on attack, if your unit has 3 or more remaining HP, just draw a card. Kind of a nice card there. So, I mean, if you've already had, like, you have 1 damage on a level 4 unit, you can basically just give the support trigger and then go for on attack. Then you can just draw 1 card, which is pretty nice. Not bad overall. It's also not bad to do in grid style strategies either, because you could go like the stranger to attack, and then because stranger is in blue, remember he's blue, yellow, and black, then you can go Dr. Pershing if you have the initiative and then target the stranger. As long as he has 3 health points left, you can have him swing at your opponent's base with his grit, and then you can draw a card from that as well. So pretty cool overall. Just some things to think about, especially for like grit cards, especially as they get more damage on them and increase their strength of power of attack. You can do stuff like that. But nonetheless, it's still a pretty cool card. I mean, the ability just to allow you to swing on attack, if this unit has 3 or more remaining HP, you can just draw a card. So I mean, it's a pretty cool thing. So I mean, it's 3 or more remaining HP, not 3 or less remaining HP. Okay, so you couldn't do it on the stranger. But funny enough, you can always do this with Dr. Pershing. Hey, look, he just still draws your cards, kids. Instead of pinging himself in the face, he draws your cards. So it's pretty cool. I actually could see this card being played in like Virgin's Temple strategies, because remember, Virgin's Temple needs health points of 4 or more. I believe that's what Virgin Temple gives you, the Force. So I could definitely see this guy being played in Virgin Temple strategies 100%, allowing you to constantly draw cards because of his effect as well as his support. But nonetheless, pretty neat card. We have Foundling Rescue. We may defeat a unit with 2 or less remaining HP, create a Mandalorian token, and all that. So again, if now it's a plan, it's not a Mandalorian card, it's a plan. So if the Mandalorian leader's in blue now, that's pretty nice. But nonetheless, I mean, you can just defeat any unit for 2 or less remaining HP and create a Mandalorian token. It definitely feels like they've taken down the level of blue's ability to like blow stuff up off the board and be controlled down a heavy amount. It definitely feels like we have seen a lot less of that coming around from this set, from the last couple of sets, where blue control doesn't feel as powerful as it did pre-rotation. But still, I mean, you can't count anything out. It's probably going to be a side deck card at the most, just so you can kill stuff. And again, another Mandalorian token isn't all that bad. Shin Hati's Fiend Fighter. When defeated, you may give 2 advantage tokens to a unit. If this unit wasn't defeated by combat damage, you may give 3 advantage tokens instead. So basically a 2/3/1 that if it dies, you can give 2 advantage tokens to a unit, but if it dies by other means than battle, give 3 advantage tokens. Not a bad card. The Great Mothers, they're speaking out 2000 herself with some Night Sisters. Anyway, 767 with support, and then when attack ends, if this unit dealt damage to one or more non-leader units, defeat those units. That's a pretty nice attack ends. Because the weird part is, it's an on attack ends. If this unit dealt combat damage to one or more non-leader units, you just kill those units, which is pretty nice there. I mean, that's a nice little effect there. The ability to potentially just swing at something, take damage, because it doesn't say the unit. I believe now when the attack ends, I think now the unit has to survive, but I'm not sure about all the continuations of that wording now, because this is the new wording they've implemented it since the release of law of how attack triggers actually now trigger when they go to activate. So if this is true, when the attack ends and the unit doesn't have to be surviving, that means that you could sacrifice a little weenie with this support skill and then just murder a big guy off the battlefield. So it's a pretty neat effect. I mean, I always like these weird effects where you can have the ability of, like, if you dealt combat damage, you blow up that guy. Dorsal turret comes very much to mind, where if you swing with a unit and that unit deals combat damage, dorsal turret does trigger and then you get to kill the unit off. So it's hilarious to then run a dorsal turret into a big capital class vessel and the dorsal turret blows up the vessel. So I like these type of effects. So pretty neat effect here. We have Hold Them Off. Choose a friendly unit. That unit deals damage equal to its power divided as you choose among any number of units in the arena. Oh my goodness, it's OB! OB's back, everybody. Did you expect to see it again? But anyways, we've seen this before. We've seen it with Protect the Pod. We've seen all that, but we haven't seen Divided since OB was in the format. But this is another OB here, folks. So we have OB the unit and OB the card. By the way, now again, OB gave you a +2/+2, and then you dealt damage divided. This is just choose a friendly unit and then deal damage divided, however you want it. But this is still a cool card. Expect to see Piet running this around in their decks, because they can target any one of their big capital class vessels, and then he can just go blow everything up with it. So it's a pretty cool little card there, 100%. So definitely expect to see a lot of green playing this new OB running around. We got Grogu, another legendary. Man, they revealed a lot of legendaries for us. When you take the initiative, you may attack with a unit. Ooh, I like that. I like that 100%. Now, do be mindful that it doesn't say even if exhausted in parentheses. So it's not allowing you to take the initiative and swing with an exhausted unit. What it's allowing you to do is, if you've claimed the initiative because your opponent still has things to do, but you want to start the turn, but you still have a unit still standing up on the board state, you can go use this to allow you to attack with that unit out of the normal sequencing. Because remember, once you take the initiative, you have ended your turn, your full turn for the round. So that means that for that round, your opponent gets to play whatever they want, finish it out, and then pass, and then you both go into the next round. Typically, sometimes people will have to struggle with that because they may have to attack with one of their units to begin with, or to try to potentially survive damage, or just want to take the initiative forced out to see what their opponent does. This means that now with this ability, even if you have a standing unit, because you have to take the initiative for some odd reason in the game, you are then allowed to swing with that unit that you didn't get to attack with. Meaning you get a free attack for just taking the initiative, which is so nice. They were right. Man, the legendaries have felt powerful 100%. The Chimera, I will give like an iffy on it, because I'm not fully sold on it being good, but still it's a very powerful. But this one, expect this one to see a value, everybody. I mean, red, white, with the ability to have always taking initiative, always threatening any unit you have standing can attack. Meaning that when you take the initiative and your opponent thinks that you're done, you have Grogu now to immediately allow you to attack with a unit that is still standing. So that is pretty cool there, folks. So I definitely expect to see this being run around. It's been a while, but we do have a mono-colored legendary, and the Eye. We've already got the Eye of Sion. We had one as a rare from, I believe, Legends of the Force, LOF. So this is, of course, is another Eye of Sion. Action, search top 8 cards of your deck for a unit that costs the same as or less than this unit's power. Play it for free. It enters ready. Wow. That is quite the legendary for a mono black card. I mean, yeah, it's 7 cost. There isn't a great way to reduce it. Like, Piet can't reduce it because it's not a capital class vessel. It's a transport. Wow. So basically, you can play anything that is 5 cost or less. No, it's 5 power or less for free, and it enters ready. And if you can find ways to give this advantage tokens, experience tokens, upgrades, you have a pretty powerful card for a lot of decks. That is impressive. I'll give credit. That's a really cool card. You cannot go anything wrong with the fact that the ability to start playing a lot of 5 at even the base 5 powered guys for free, and they are ready. That is powerful. So playing a guy for free and readied. That's a nice legendary there. It's the Mandalorian. We haven't seen a Mando leader since Shadows of the Galaxy, so he's back. When you detect the initiative, you may pay 1. If you do, draw a card. So a pretty nice way of saying, hey, I have this extra energy. I don't have anything to do with it. A lot of times that's what might happen. Like on your turn 4 play, you might be stuck with a 3 cost character. So you get to play your 3 cost character and do something with it. And sometimes you have this extra energy where you can't do anything with it. He's a nice leader to allow you just to draw 1 card because you take the initiative. You can pay 1 and then draw 1. Still just a very nice little just draw 1 there. And he does have support as well alongside what Ahsoka does. When you deploy this leader, you may attack with a unit. It gains this on attack trigger. And if you have the initiative, just draw a card. So, I mean, not really all that bad, by the way, because of his trigger. You also get the on attack trigger. So when you get the support trigger, because he comes in, supports someone, allows them to attack, draw a card if you have the initiative, and then he gets to flip, swing, draw a card because you have the initiative. So you can draw 2 cards on that attack, which is pretty nice. And then, by the way, if you have the red-blue Mandalorian, that is every time you draw a card, you gain a shield token. You can just play him in blue, and then you can just make a bunch of shield tokens on this Mandalorian unit, and then you can run it into everything your opponent controls and then start killing it and then keeping itself alive because of the fact of all the draw triggers that you have. So I like it. That's a pretty cool leader. Not the strongest leader, definitely, but still, I like it. I like the ability just to draw because we have the initiative, and when he flips to draw 2 cards when you have the initiative. Pretty nice. We have Green Leader. He's going in for the trench run against the Executor. The Executor. Going to crash right into good old Piet. When defeated, you may deal 2 damage to a unit. That's really about it. But a 2-1-3-1 is nasty, especially as a fighter. That is a great vehicle for Poe. That is a great vehicle for Luke. That is honestly even, well, you would never play it in Kaz because you don't want Kaz to turn off the when defeated trigger. You actually want this defeated. Still, that is a pretty cool card, 100%. So, like that one. That's a nice card. And last legendary, at least for this set of reveals, we got Zeb, another Spectre that we've lost the leader that can ignore specters. So he's a 7/5/7. When played, give 3 advantage tokens to another unit. When a friendly upgrade is defeated, deal 1 damage to a base. That's very nice. So meaning that because advantage tokens disappear after the unit attacks or defends, you are capable of basically dealing 3 damage to your opponent's base because those upgrades are gone. They get defeated after the unit attacks or defends. That is how advantage works. Again, advantage is a +1/+0. So, all right. I dig it. I dig what Zeb's doing here. So if you really wanted to play some kind of support, some kind of heavy advantage strategy, I can see you doing that and then swing with that unit, knocking off all of its advantage tokens and dealing 1 damage to your opponent's base for each of those advantage tokens getting knocked out. Again, it does facilitate aggressive negotiation. negotiations, which kind of sucks if aggressive negotiations goes into the Ashes metagame. So that would suck, but still, it's a really cool one, especially if your opponent happens to get rid of shield tokens, if your opponent happens to get rid of experience tokens, if your opponent happens to get rid of even your leader, if they're upgraded as a vehicle, as well, one of the JTL leaders, if they're upgrades, you can deal damage. So nonetheless, pretty cool card with good old Zeb there. We got now 2 Spectres out of this set. We have older Ezra and we have a Zeb. Anyways, the last card of this reveal is Reckless Sacrifice. Discard a card from your hand, deal 5 damage to a unit that costs more than the discarded card. So basically, discard a low-cost card you ain't going to use to deal 5 damage to some big guy on the battlefield. A 2-drop to deal 5 damage to a unit is always going to be kind of nice. There's no in and afs about that one. That's just a nice way to deal some chip damage, especially for Heroic. But that is it, folks. That is all the reveals we've got. We've gotten 4 leaders so far. 4 leaders. I think 2 rares and 2 commons. No, 3 rares, 1 common. So we've gotten 3 rare leaders, 1 common leader. And we've seen just the power of the legendaries we are getting in this set. Folks, I don't know what I'm going to see from these legendaries, but man, oh man, do they sound powerful. Some feel a little better than others, but overall, there is some really good things coming out with these legendaries. Fantasy Flight is now cooking with how powerful they want to power creep up these legendaries. Now, I hope they don't become game-breaking legendaries. I don't need legendaries suddenly becoming on ban lists because Fantasy Flight's ideology of, hey, we want to make the legendaries more powerful doesn't merely just mean that they also then become game-breaking. But if they don't, these have been some really good legendaries. We got some interesting leaders out from this set. We got some new cards. We got what feels like a Mandalorian tribal strategy coming along right now. And we got some neat things for this upcoming set. Once again, that we will know kind of what people are testing, what people are thinking, especially if you're going to be on Karabast, right before, of course, the Galactic Championship, once we get the full set released to us, because everyone will be testing for the Galactic Championship since it comes a week after this release. I feel bad for everyone having to go who needs specific cards for their strategies, because I know for a fact, let's say the Scion isn't as good as people think it is. Maybe this is a $30 legendary or $40 legendary. People are going to gouge that money on you because they know you need that card. They know you need the card. So the market is going to be saturated at high cost because people are going to demand this card. And that is my one problem as someone who, want to get these cards, but I'm definitely going to have to wait a lot longer than I usually like. I usually like to wait a couple weeks and then see where the market is and settle in and go pick up the legendaries I didn't get my hands on or anything like that. But the problem here is, thanks to the Galactic Championship, these prices are probably going to be pretty high for a good little while because the market's been because people are manipulating the market, and especially at the Galactic Championship where people are manipulating it. And then some people are, because every vendor and every seller is going to manipulate this market because people are going to be desperate for these legendaries if they don't have them. So that means the market is going to get manipulated pretty harshly. I do expect a lot of people to maybe even buy pre-sale, as much as I hate to say that. People are probably going to buy pre-sale, which is then going to mark up these cards pretty high, especially right after release. So we'll just kind of have to keep the eye on where the market is. Just keep your eye on it. If you're looking for them, I would just wait it out a month. Just to kind of see if the prices can gouge out a little bit down from their extreme highs after the Galactic. But yeah, this set's looking pretty fun, folks. We got some fun leaders, we got some fun new mechanics and support, and we got some really powerful legendaries. But I want your guys' thoughts down in the comments on the cards we've gotten released from Ashes, and who do you expect to be a leader coming out of Ashes? Do you think we're going to get a Moff Gideon? Think we're going to get a Bo-Katan? What other leaders do you think we are going to get our hands on? Maybe we're going to get a older Sabine leader. That'd be pretty cool. What leaders are you really hoping for? And what are your thoughts on these new legendaries being very powerful right now for what we have seen before for other legendaries? Let me know all of that down in the comments. And while you guys are commenting, do make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you're notified when my videos go live for you. And we'll see you here next time on Modern Dragons TCG.